Hey, good morning, good evening, everyone. My name is Pranav. I'm from the University of San Francisco in California, and today I'm here basically to talk a little bit about the Common App essay. Um, a lot of it is general essay. You can use some of these tips for writing different styles of essays. But one thing is that whenever I'm talking about writing an essay, okay, often I feel as if I'm just rambling about all the worries, because the thing is that as soon as November comes in, people who read, like I'm somebody who reads application, we start reading a lot of applications from November. The early cycle, all the applications are usually reviewed by end of November, early December. The regular decision application, we usually start reading somewhere between 15th of January and finish reading all of those applications by late February or early March. But what happens is we read a lot of these essays. So whenever I'm doing this essay session, I feel as if I'm venting my worries to somebody that, hey, don't do this, hey, don't do that. I'm going to try and give some tips. Hopefully they'll be helpful. At this point, I'm going to, Kajol, do you think I'll be able to share my screen? Yes, perfect. I do have like a slide deck, a presentation, but feel free to ask some questions, about the essay or about, the application in general as well. So what are we going to look at today? This looks like a big packed agenda, but I might just skip through a few things depending on the time. But important why about the Common App essay, the purpose of the essay, like the favorite thing of mine to talk of, talking about supplemental essays a little bit, and we'll leave some time for questions. So the first thing before I jump into the conversation, I know you all have just finished a session on, the Common App. So usually when you are about to start your application, you are going to submit a lot of information to the universities. You're going to be submitting an application form. Usually the application forms are extremely comprehensive. You all are submitting, educational background. You're submitting family background. You're submitting, extracurricular activities. You'll be submitting additional information, supplemental questions. So the application forms really ask a lot of information. Then comes your transcripts, grade 9 through 12th. Some of you may be submitting standardized tests. Some of you may be submitting proof of English. There are application essays, there are recommendation letters, there may be an interview. So if you really look at the application process for US, it's information, right? So my simple can students actually unmute or type? Right, I think you all can do that. So my simple question: what do you think matters on your college application? Um, can you all tell me what do you think matters the most on your college application? Maybe you can type, maybe you can unmute. Extracurriculars, honesty, essays, grades, how to present yourself, GPA. Perfect. That's personality. That's fantastic. Thank you. So, of course, the answer is everything matters. Of course, everything matters. That's the reason why the colleges are asking. But there are some things that matter a little more than other, right? So you must have heard the word holistic, right? Holistic means that US universities, we are looking at a lot of information. We are going to look at your grades first, no denying that. One of the most important thing about your application is going to be your grades. So we look at your grades, and after that we'll start looking at all of these things. And why does the essay matter so much? And I'll tell you why. Because uh, US universities, we are very interested in knowing who you are as a person. Okay, so when we are sort of looking at your application, the first thing we look at grades, just to make sure that you are ready for a certain academic rigor, that you're ready for a certain level of academics. So we look at your transcripts first, and then we start looking at your extracurriculars, your essays, all of this information. But essays is all the other information that you've submitted is sort of a two-dimensional entity. But when you submit an essay, it's more like a voice, it's like a narration, right? So it gives like a third dimension to your application, and it really brings your application to life. And that's the reason why you may hear how important this essay is. But one thing what I wanted to remind you all is, during this process, I've noticed that students give so much pressure on themselves on writing an essay that let me tell you, 95% of the essays that we read, they are extremely just all right. Okay. They do their job. They are not fancy. They are not piece of literature. They are just college essays that are doing their job. Often in this process, we notice that students are reading a lot of samples online. And what happens is, these online samples are extremely creative samples that people share, and they just do that because if they are not creative, why would people read those samples? So the thing is that, please don't feel the pressure of giving more importance to this essay than what it should. It is an important document, please don't get me wrong, but not to a point where students start worrying about it, right? So majority of these essays are just okay. They don't need to be some piece of literature. They don't need to be some this holy document that you're going to prepare, right? So don't give it more weightage than it should. It is an important document, but not to a point where you're losing sleep on it, right? Usually when we start reading applications, let me tell you that there are some applications right at the top, fantastic grades, everything is in place, about top 10%. These are some very easy application, this they're going to get accepted. Unfortunately, the same thing also happens at the bottom. There are going to be some applications at the bottom of this application pool, which no matter what we do, we'll not be able to accept. So those applications, so this top 10% and the bottom 10%, this is not where our hard work lies. This is not where we have to spend most of our time. A majority of the time spent by a application reader is right in between. Okay, so whether you are a student with 40 on 42 or whether you're a student with 30, you will be that middle average applicant. And that is where the essay really makes a difference, right? That's where you really start making the difference with the essay. So today we are focusing a little bit more on the Common App essay. But the tips and guidelines is the mandatory section of the Common App, right? There are 7 prompts to choose from. I don't want to read out each and every prompt because that will just take a lot of time, but I'm sure you all have familiarized yourself with some of these topics. But there are 7 prompts to choose from, including a topic of your own. This 650 words maximum, right? And remember a very important thing: the Common App essay goes to all the colleges you apply to on Common App, so it's not the place to personalize, right? So that's a very awkward situation. But what is the purpose of the essay, right? The purpose of the essay is for sharing who you are as a person. Now, why is it important for me to know who you are? Like, okay, I'll just give you my own example. My institution, we have about 1,500 students who start their bachelor's degree every year. Okay. And for these 1,500 seats, we get about 25 to 27,000 applications, right? So it is a lot of applications that we go through. Now, usually, let's say, you and your friend from the same school are applying. There is a likelihood that you and your friend may have the exact same subjects and similar scores. But does that mean you two are same individual? Probably not, right? Even though you may have the exact same transcript, you are people with different goals, different passions, different strengths, different areas of what you're looking to work on. So you are different as a person, even though your transcript may not be able to tell us so. And that's exactly why the essay is an opportunity to tell us. It sort of it provides a sense of your personality. It is going beyond those numbers, and it is an opportunity for you to tell a story, right? So that's what the essay is, right? What the essay is isn't, right? It's not a place for you to talk of your high grades, neither it's a place for you to explain any dip in your grades. Okay, it's not a place for you to argue of why you should be attending a certain school. It's definitely not a place where this is English, this is not an English writing competition. This is not a place where we test your English writing skills. So it's not a 5 paragraph essay for English class. Neither it's a list of your activities. Your common app allows you to enter up to 10 activities. So this is not going to be an essay, shouldn't be a laundry list of your achievements. Okay, and most importantly, it is 650 words. It's not enough for you to tell your entire life story in 650 words. So it's very important for you to understand what the essay is and what the essay isn't, right? So what happens is the essay basically, it is important for you to sort of plan this process before you sort of just jump into it, right? So when you start picking your topic, you may have done some primary groundwork on the essay already before you go to the exercise. Is nothing but just a vehicle. Okay, it's a vehicle for you to tell your story. So whether you are choosing a common app essay, or whether you are choosing a supplemental essay, or whether you are choosing some other essay of your own, remember the topic just might be something that you use, but your story is still going to be your story, right? So what is a good topic? Okay, please remember, a good topic is the one that you're excited about, as simple as that. Correct? You have to be excited about that topic, otherwise there's no point in choosing that topic, right? And lastly, what do you want us to know about you, which is a very important question that you should ask. What are the key moments of your life that you want to highlight? Now, before you sort of jump into this writing exercise, I usually recommend a exercise to every student. Before you start this entire application process, take a step back. Okay, take a step back and write down things about yourself you want the admission office to know. For example, you want us to know that you're good at physics. Okay, you want us to know that you played cricket a lot. You want us to know that you've been doing really really well while learning a certain instrument. Just write down these things about yourself and highlight them in a way where you want to check that, am I conveying all of this information through my application? Now you may notice that the thing about your grades and physics, I can already see that in your transcripts, so you don't need to reinforce that. Okay, so there might be some areas of your application which are already coming to us from different components, and there might be areas where we are not able to see that in the rest of the application. So focus on those areas and use a topic where you really get to talk about that. So that may help in choosing a common app essay or any essay topic. Okay, again, these essays you can actually go online, and the common app is already open. It opens on 1st of August, so feel free to go online and check the prompts. And lastly, we talk a little bit about topics to avoid. See, don't worry about impressing the admission counselor. Okay, you don't know who the person reading is, so there is no way you will know whether you have that opportunity of impressing. Just write the essay. You know what is the worst part about lying on an essay or lying on a application? The worst part is that you may get selected at a college which is not the right fit for you, and then you'll have to live that lie for the next 4 years, right? So please do not create this fake personality while creating your application. Just be who you are, and don't worry about impressing the admission officer, right? As said, we don't expect this piece of literature coming from you. It's just an essay, it is part of your application, and that's all that it is. So when you are sort of writing it, please remember, once you have chosen the topic, okay, of your choice, what we notice is the students just start talking about an event or an activity or an interest and just write about it. So please remember, whatever, whether it is 650 word, 500 word, or a longer essay, a third of it should be the story or the narration, and at least a two-third should be reflection and analysis. So remember this one third and two-third, I would say bifurcation, and this will give you a good idea on writing. Don't spend a lot of time on just telling the story. Make sure you're sort of leaving some time for analysis as well. So some few writing tips, Kajol, we have time, or are we almost out of time?
No, we have time. We have 5 to 7 minutes. You can take it up, no problem.
Okay, all right. All right, perfect. I'm gonna go through the writing tips really well fast. So again, pick a moment, dive in. Y'all are genuinely care about, right? If you don't care about it, don't write about it. I'll give you an example. This was about 7, 8 years ago. I met with a family from Mumbai actually, and the student was just passionate about chemistry. Okay, he's already graduated, did chemical engineering, did his master's already, but that time somebody told his mother that it's very important to you know do social service, community service. uh, Not a bad advice, but the student was not passionate about it at all. He was a pure, like, a person with books, right? So then his mother encouraged him to perform some, get himself in some community service. Now this child had no interest in doing that, but now every Sunday morning he used to find himself on Warsaw beach trying to clean it. It was not his passion, right? That's the thing. So don't do anything or write about things that you don't generally care about. You do something that you enjoy, write something that you enjoy about. Another very important, you don't need to be needlessly dramatic. Those sample essays that students read online, they give a very fake impression of what a good essay should be. Okay, so often we see that students struggle with writing about humor, writing about sarcasm, writing with strong political opinions. See, if you are not somebody who's genuinely okay with it, just avoid competition over here. It's just a vehicle for you to tell us about yourself. We don't need you to use the thesaurus. Find your own voice. Definitely use paragraphs. Read it aloud. Let family and friends read it after a few drafts. This is a very simple exercise that I encourage everyone to do. You all may have that one friend of yours, okay, who you probably text every day. Let's say your phone gets stolen, okay, and somebody else is texting through your phone. That friend of yours will immediately know that it's not you who is texting. They'll know your writing style, they know how you usually speak, and that is exactly what it should be with the essay. Share this essay with somebody who knows you very well, and let them read it. And if they tell you that no, this does not sound like you may want to make some corrections, right? So the essay should sound like you. It should sound like the way you speak on day-to-day basis. It should sound like the way you talk about your goals, your achievements, your interests, right? So it has to be your voice, right? Few of the common mistakes: naming another college in a common essay. That's super awkward. Don't do that. Definitely don't forget to proofread. I've already talked about using humor, sarcasm, and if you're not really okay with it, just stay away from it. Falling into cliches like starting with some of those quotes and stuff, ideally please avoid those. And definitely not actually writing about yourself. That's probably like the worst thing that a student can do. I know there are a lot of questions when it comes to use of AI, use of ChatGPT. Yeah, go ahead and try doing that. You'll see that everybody can do it, and the essays come out very generic. If you can ask somebody, do you have the capacity to know whether it is written by you? So the thing is that some colleges may, some colleges may not have that capacity, right? Or maybe there's absolutely no capacity to understand. But the moment there is a doubt in the mind of an application reader, they might just flag that essay. So you're sort of risking yourself at a point where they might your application may get flagged for plagiarism or something like that. So the thing is that somebody might say that the onus is on the university. No, the onus is on the student, because then your application's decision is risked if your application gets flagged for plagiarism. So I would say try and stay away from that. Again, ChatGPT is a fantastic tool, but probably not for writing essays. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on supplemental essays. The general tips remain the same, but please remember, this is supplementing. This is where you can actually make it a little more personal, because this is not a common essay that goes to all the universities that you apply. Typically, there are universities that are looking institution, we look for mission alignment. So whenever you are writing about a supplemental essay, go to the institutional website, read the mission page, find out where do you see an alignment in this essay topic. But yeah, definitely don't repeat the Common App essay. But I would say the general idea, or your theme could be similar. I hope that was helpful information. But before open it up for questions, again, some very simple writing tips. When we start reading that application, the simple thing is that we are not professors, so not doing a deep.